Hey, this is Dave with Rough Notes Magazine. We're all about helping agents and brokers thrive, and we're impressed with what you're doing. Can we feature you and your team on our front cover?
So, Mike, tell me the feeling you had when you first heard that your agency was going to be on the front cover of Rough Notes magazine.
The first word, Jason, I think I would just say honored.
Good one.
Yeah, that's it.
That was your first thought. And then did you think, hey, this is one of those pranks? My kids are playing on me or something like that?
I thought it was like a cyber spammer because I got an email and I get a lot of crazy emails. And so I'm reading it carefully and I'm thinking, is this real? I mean, this might be real. I don't know. So
I
I
hear
had
that a lot.
one of my colleagues chase it down and call, and she goes, "Hey, it actually is real." So we were totally surprised, and of course, honored and excited to be able to participate.
It's just different when you're honored and you're recognized by your peers. You hear that, you celebrate other peers, and then when it's you on this side, it's a special thing, let alone a long-standing tradition that Rough Notes, the great magazine,
Right.
puts together, and you're now part of that. And they always tell me, and I always miss it, but it's like you're like of one of 240 or 50 something is how many they've had of the 40,000 agencies we
Wow.
have, and the
I didn't realize
hundreds
that.
or the 100,000 that have been since you started there. You guys went on your 50th anniversary. I mean, that's pretty cool. Tell me about that.
Well, and it's the timing of it is pretty cool because yes, 2025 Hotchkiss Insurance is celebrating our 50th anniversary.
Yeah.
And man, when you put it that way, you're like, I guess we have been around a while, even though we just feel like we've got our head down here, just trying to do the next right thing. And so even getting the nod from Rough Notes, just to go, we're just trying to play our game, and we don't even really think about that people are noticing us or what we're doing. But we look up every once in a while, and we can turn around kind of from a summit and look back and go, well, we kind of have come a long way.
I mean, MASH was the number one show at the time, roughly, right? I mean, we only had 3 channels, NBC, CBS, and ABC, right?
Right. We've been pulling out a bunch of old photos from the archives.
I bet.
And a lot of great pictures of my father, Doug Hotchkiss. And I got to tell you, the styles just circle back around. He's wearing this really cool sport coat, and I was thinking from like 1978, and I was like, I think I have a sport coat like that.
Right, that looks pretty good. You know?
Yeah, pretty sharp.
You see Travis Kelce walk into the football stadium yesterday. You know, he had his 70s outfit on. He looked like anyway. So it does come back around. You're darn right about that.
Didn't help him at all.
Yeah, and insurance comes back around, right? What comes back around in insurance? You know, think about that. That's life. What comes back around there, Mike?
I mean, it's funny. Things have changed, and then there's a lot that hasn't changed on the insurance brokerage front.
Amen. You're right about that.
Right, and that's a blessing. Like we're grateful that this is still seen as a really critical profession in a way to keep the economy moving. Right. To quote our founder, Doug Hotchkiss, he always said, insurance is the grease of commerce. And the ability for us to advise a family or a business and give them a method to shift their risk to the insurance carriers enables them to do the things they want to do or were meant to do. And if that's delivering produce or running a restaurant or running a school or building buildings, so that part hasn't changed, the transfer of risk and us being able to meet clients' needs and protect them. I would tell you that some of the things I think that have changed is just the bar keeps getting higher and higher. And so what clients expect from us, what we actually have the ability to do and the way we serve clients has changed dramatically over 4 years.
Especially on the commercial side, which you guys
quote and coverages and premium.
Correct.
The value add services are immense.
And then internally on your office, looking and reading your notes and hearing about your agency, you fall in line with something that we've noticed with superior agencies, which me not being around, I was born in 78, and being real, like I don't know exactly what it was like to be in business in the 70s, 80s, and 90s like I do now as a 46-year-old in 2025. Do you think it's different the way the focus we have on our staff and our team today and culture being different than it was when how have you seen that different, Mike?
I mean, I can only think of my own journey in leadership, and so which goes back into the early 2000s when I started helping lead the firm. And I think just in my own journey, it's just the realization that our employees are everything. Mm-hmm. And I tell our staff, at the end of the day, we've got 5 offices across Texas. We're just a bunch of people working together in a box. Mm-hmm. There's no special equipment. There's desks. There's laptops. There's a Wi-Fi signal. There's phones. I mean, that's kind of it, right? Mm-hmm. And we're just people. And so our ability to bring the right people on board and then to give them a path of growth and then to make sure that we're all playing well with each other. Mm-hmm. And so it's just that whole idea of teamwork, rowing in the same direction at the same time. And if you can catalyze the people and we get the best and the brightest and we optimize our performance, it's amazing what we can do. And so I tell our people, we don't make an addictive chicken sandwich. Our customer service has to be spot on. At the end of the day, it's just us. And so that realization is our people are our most important thing. And so we spend a ton of time investing in our people because at the end of the day, that's all we got.
Wow. We don't make an addictive chicken sandwich.
I mean, you can't rest on your laurels and go, they're just going to line up every day, whether we have an off day or not. I mean, It's just us.
Yep, that's right. You mentioned path of growth too. That's something that I don't think was utilized. It even wasn't when I was younger, first in the business. Someone came to me and said, "Jason, let me give you a path of growth." What they said to me is here's a yellow pages, here's a phone, here's an office. You might get one with with a window in it. Start dialing, right? I mean, right. That's the training I got. And I mean, and to be fair, I got a little bit better, but at the beginning, That's what it was,
Keep
right?
Keep your head down, boy.
Right. Oh Mike. Oh gosh, you're exactly right.
That just strike a chord?
Yeah, it does. But I mean,
I said, quit crying. Keep your head down.
Yeah. And that is, I'm going to be honest, I think that's one of the tough things that is hard for people to relate today to that age. And it makes it different in the fact that, I'll explain. This is the way that I explain it to my team at my agency. Is that today, back in the day, Mike, you and I, when we had to go outside, our mom and dad said, "Hey, get outside and do something." And they threw us out on the front steps and we looked around and we said to ourselves, "All right, what am I going to do? Okay, I'm going to go do that, or I'm going to go find Jimmy or whatever." Right. Mm-hmm. And then what we did was different, meaning me with the way I raised my kids was, hey, you get out of school at 3, you got to be to baseball at 4, you come home to eat at 5, we do our homework at 6, you got to be in shower by 8, you go to bed at 9. You see what I mean? We structured it to where they didn't have to think. Now, when they come back into an agency, this is the reason why this path of growth is so important, I think, in our culture, because we can't just throw them into the room like they did me on the front porch and say, "Hey, go do something." And I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'm going to start. You know what? Everybody starts at A's. I'm going to go to L. That was the only strategy that I had. I started
at Z and worked backwards.
At Z and went backwards. I can't tell you how many people think it's genius that I started at L. I'm like, no, it just made sense to me because I kept thinking.
Most people quit somewhere at G or H, right?
See, you and I went all the way.
Yeah, I know.
L to Z, Mike. That's right. But yeah, so no, and really, I probably only got to end. You know what I mean?
Right.
After you're just like, wow. But if you're working hard enough, you can pull up enough leads and referrals to do what you need to do, blah, 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 blah. But I think that's the difference today, right? Of where we're at and why it has to be more structured. What says you on some of that?
Yeah, you bring up an interesting point, and it's the need for external structure, and probably us as parents have provided too much.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And we're afraid to give our kids autonomy. And these are the people that we've been hiring, right. Or the people that have left our households, and they've had their mommy and daddy sticking real close to them in college and in their 20s, and, helping them write interview emails and cover letters and all the things. And then they show up at our firm, and they need a little detoxing and a little guidance, because the people that do best with us, I mean, we want to train our people. We have a robust training platform. And so we want to show you, hey, here's point A, here's point B, here's point C. You need to go find point D and then E, and then come back, and we'll just keep working through that. And at the end of the day, you want people that go, I got it. And they just come back less and less, especially on the sales side. I mean, we need self-starters and people to just figure it out. We're going to give them guidance, but if they need too much external structure, they're just not going to make it.
I agree.
And on the service side, that helps as well. I mean, we need people to follow our standards and our workflows, and we do a good job, I think, of letting people know the expectations of how we want them to work. But man, we need people who can think. And that's one of the terms.
That's tough sometimes.
Our leader in HR will describe people sometimes and say, what I like about them is they know how to think. No, we know a lot of people. I mean, everyone thinks, but that's what, she's touching on what you're mentioning. Like, hey, I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to just critically think about this, and then it makes sense to go to the right, not the left.
That's right. So Doug starts it in 1975. He has 4 kids. Ken, your brother, let's talk about him. You and him now are lead in the agency. Give me a little history there. Tell me how that goes.
We do. I'll give you just a little snapshot.
Okay.
Back in 75, I mean, really from 75 to 85, Hotchkiss Insurance was just this tiny little personal lines agency. Doug didn't even work there. It was just had a handful.
Oh, okay.
He owned it, but it started really as a kind of as a vertical integration. In when he was a home builder and a developer, they were selling the homeowners policy to home buyers.
Gotcha.
Okay, and so they actually sold their home building development business in the mid 70s, and the buyers wanted lot positions, not an insurance agency. And Doug is a CPA by background. He was the CFO of this company, and he said, well, I'll just buy the agency out of the deal and just keep running it. And so they were still supporting a couple of different home builders, and were capturing the homeowners and the auto. And he continued forward in other aspects of business, but he kept that on the side. And so my earliest memories as a child,
that's cool.
Was thinking, I think my dad has 2 jobs. You're always a little blurry on what your dad does when you're, 8 years old.
Right. Totally.
And, but I did know, Hotchkiss Insurance Agency, and then in the mid 80s, he found himself looking for a job and said, I've got 4 boys about to go to college, and I'll go work at my agency. And so he showed up at his agency and realized it's going to take a while doing it one homeowner's policy at a time. And that's when he tells the story that he was spending a lot of time reading rough notes and studying the high growth agencies. And he saw that they were typically commercial property and casualty in very niche industry specific focused. And he started our first industry vertical, which was residential construction in Texas. And that was a real turning point in the agency. So going back to the family, when we were growing up, we weren't thinking, oh, one day I'll go work at Hotchkiss Insurance. I mean, that's a real destination. We were kind of like, well, I don't know how this is going to turn out. I better make my own way. And
Right.
so my oldest brother, Steve, is a veterinarian, real successful veterinarian
Oh, wow.
in the
That's
Fort
cool.
Worth area. And then all of us had our own paths. And so Greg is the number two. He's a CPA and spent years in corporate finance. Ken Hotchkiss, the number three son, went straight from school to insurance production at Hotchkiss Insurance in our Houston office. And then I'm the fourth, and I'm a CPA, and I worked in public accounting in Houston. And after about 4 years, I got recruited into the Houston office to be an insurance producer. And
Gotcha.
so Ken and I were the first to join, and then we needed to grow more to deserve Brother Greg because he was beyond us. And we were growing a ton in the late 90s. I joined in 99. And so into the 2000s. And I think Greg joined us, I think, in 2004.
Okay.
And so the three of us manage the business. And we also have a great executive team, and we have other shareholders. So I think total we have about 18 shareholders.
Okay. Mike, when you think about your mentors and think about people that have helped you guide this organization, and not just so much of Ken and Greg and Doug, but think of whenever I said that, you had someone pop into your mind. Why are they big to you? Why have they been instrumental in helping you guide your business to where it is now?
Golly, mentorship is a big deal, right?
Hmm.
I mean, that's a really important concept and something that we hope is happening within the walls of our agency every day. And uh, there's something about someone that's been further down the road than you have, and um, they've been through the school of hard knocks, baptized by the fire,
Hmm.
learned a lot of lessons, that life experiences taught them. And so if you can find those people in your life, and we had several people within the walls of our agency that were really important mentors to me. And so as a young kid in his 20s dialing for dollars, um,
Hmm.
I I ran into a lot of walls and a lot of question marks, and being able to go to a mentor, and even though it seemed really complicated to me, it was really simple to them, and I could get sage counsel of how to handle a client situation or how to handle an internal situation.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's been a very key part of my own development as a leader.
I think sometimes people beat themselves up too. They think, well, I should be a better mentor. I need to mentor my people better. And I think that they do. I just don't think there's a class on it. It's just having open communication with them, and about and talking with them and what are the things that they're important. So I do agree. So that's fantastic. So anything else? I know you guys are big into supporting your community. Give me one thing that if you could brag to the world about what you guys do, tell me that thing.
Yeah, sure. So we've been serving the community for a lot of years. It's just been a part of the fabric and the culture at Hotchkiss Insurance. But about 10 years ago, we formed our charitable arm called Hotchkiss Helps. And that was a way for us to put some organization and focus around all of the stuff that we were just already doing from office to office. Someone would be passionate about a cause and they'd rally the troops, and we'd go, serve different parts of the community. But we formed Hotchkiss Helps. We're a 501c3, and we formed different committees within the agency, and it's a way for our people that have a heart for service and a heart for giving back to do something besides their insurance job. And so they have committee meetings. We actually raise funds. There's ways that our employees can donate to Hotchkiss Helps, and then we have a grants committee, and we make grants during the year to different charities. What's interesting in uh, 2025, our 50-year anniversary, we are using that as an opportunity to do 50 acts of service throughout the year. And so we're going to be donating our time, treasure, and talents in various capacities throughout the year. So follow us on LinkedIn, because we're going to be sharing that, because at the end of the day, it's the community that enabled us to have a 50-year anniversary.
When we say the people, we just don't mean internally. That's right, Mike.
That's right.
It's the people.
Absolutely. You know? It's the cities, it's the geography that we work in, it's the community, it's our people. And so it's an opportunity in the way that we celebrate is we want to give back.
Right. Right. Last one, Mike. You've got your best friend out there. How would your best friend describe you?
I don't know. They would probably say he's busy, but I hope they would say that I'm purposeful.
I hope.
I hope they would say I'm purposeful, because I've got 4 kids, and I love my job, but I want to make sure that I'm being a good steward of my time and my energies to the world around me. And so that could be within Hotchkiss, that would be outside of Hotchkiss. And I love people. And so I want to be involved in people's lives. And so, yeah, purposeful.
What would you think they'd say about Ken?
They'd say he's definitely the best Hotchkiss. Ken's one of my best friends. We live life together a lot.
Okay, that's cool.
And so our kids are close.
That's great.
We're close in age. But they would say something similar. Ken and I are a pretty good yin and a yang. The way we approach situations can be just a little bit different, but we collaborate really well. And so they would say Ken is steady.
Steady, huh?
Steady.
Okay.
He's very steady and consistent, and what you see is what you get. And with that, I mean, when you think about someone being steady and consistent, they're trustworthy, because you know who you're going to get on any given day, and you can lean in on someone like that.
Yeah, dependable. That's right. Yep. That's right. Hotchkiss. I just love the name. It's kind of a cool name. You know that. You've probably heard that. It's very distinguishing, So Hotchkiss, I like it.
I didn't have anything to do with it. It was just the name I was born with. But it's served us well. Yeah, we love it.
Well, to all your customers out there, you're right. You may not have an addictive chicken sandwich, but obviously the way that your peers look at you, hopefully we see you as that, right? Somebody that we can learn from, someone who's special in certain areas, from listening to this podcast on the digital stream or reading it on the paper of the rough notes that will be in everybody's inbox around the 10th to the 15th, I think is what they say. I think mine's around that time as well. Mike, any last things closing you want to say?
No, just grateful to have the chance to partner with Rough Notes, and just grateful to our people. Like I said, we've got the best people at our firm, and we're having a great time enjoying the ride, doing it. I guess maybe, I don't know, the hard way, but we're an organic growth firm, and we have a path for growth with people, and we're having a great time while we're doing it. So it's a pleasure to do it.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you.
You bet. Thank you, Jason.
It's people just like them, Rough Notes listeners, that embody. He said he's enjoying the ride, as Mike said. But when you really think about it, he, after 50 years, not the whole time, but his agency of 50 years, lays years ago the path that we walk on today. So it's people of me and people after me. We're getting the ride, Mike, and we greatly appreciate it. And people do to this day. They listen to Rough Notes. They read Rough Notes, because just like Doug, just like you've done, you're always trying to look at those top tiered agencies. And to be recognized by your peers is the real deal. So that's congratulations to them. Really, I think they are our addictive chicken sandwich, Rough Notes listeners. So I
That's
love
right.
that. I'm going to use that.
All right.
I'm going to use it for like the next year.
You
Okay,
bet.
so I just like the wording, because it's so true, especially for what he was talking. So Rough Notes listeners, thank you very much. We greatly appreciate Rough Notes for the opportunity to deliver you the front cover podcast. And once again, I'm Jason Cass, and he is Mike Hotchkiss of Hotchkiss Insurance, who is the front cover of this month. So thank you very much.
You bet.
We're
Thank
out.
you, Jason. Appreciate you.